All right, everybody, it's Succession time, episode 2 of season 4. We loved the premiere last week. I hope you guys liked it too. And obviously, it was a great start to the season. It ended on a big little cliffhanger there with the new Gen Roys, Kendall, Roman, and Shiv, putting in a $10 billion offer for PGM. And really, they thought they screwed over Logan, but we're going to see that they may not have been successful at that. And he says at the end of that episode, congrats on saying the biggest fucking number.
Yep.
What does he say, you idiots? He threw something in there.
Oh, he calls them everything.
Yeah, everything in the book. But so this one kicks off, and we start on Logan. And the last episode actually did end with him watching ATN, so you get a little tease of that he's going to be critical of.
So not to continue on with the review from the first episode, but in the first episode at his birthday, right? Greg has a little moment with the girl that he brings.
Yes.
And we touched on it briefly. And Tom says to Greg, he watches the cameras back every night.
Yeah.
And at the end of the thing, he says, I watch every night. Every night I'm watching. And he means the news network.
Yeah.
But I think it's one of those things where like Shiv in this episode during his birthday, or during when they go out with Connor, right? Logan shows up. And Shiv kind of throws back at him like, you're exactly what I said last week, which was he creates the chaos.
Yeah.
Right? He makes everything, and then he swoops in and says, I'm right at the end.
Yeah.
But it's always been his working from the beginning.
100%.
And I just thought that was very interesting, that he's always kind of watching everything, even if it's from afar.
Yeah.
You know?
So, I mean, yeah. So this episode picks off. Logan goes to ATN. They take him over. It's a surprise visit. They establish that he's really not there a lot. We really haven't seen him there on the floor of ATN before. It throws Tom and Greg off guard. They had that great little back and forth there, joking around.
He calls the employees clock watchers, which I love.
Yeah, and Greg's like, it's like you're watching Jaws if Jaws was your boss.
Yeah, as if everybody worked for Jaws.
Yeah. And I gotta say, Brian Cox, what a speech. That performance there when he riles everyone up at ATN there, it was awesome.
So I had a question for you real quick, and I'll go back to the last slide, but did this give you vibes of this?
A little bit. I got a little Hitler in there too.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And I think you're supposed to, right? Like I think it's supposed to be that.
Yep.
But this was from a cinematic
I'm not
universe.
Fucking leaving. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I mean,
100%.
I fucking love this
I was
place.
in. Yeah.
Dude, I was like, I'll work at ATN.
Yeah.
Like I don't even know what they talk about. I'll work at ATN.
Well, I think it's great because it shows like from the perspective. You don't see the perspective of like those workers a lot and how they view Logan.
Oh yeah,
you know
everything's about the family.
Yeah, right. You know what I'm saying? So it was cool to get like that manipulation factor in.
Well, and so there was a weird moment there right before he kind of kicks off his speech.
Yeah.
He asks the guy, what is it? Is 45 less than is 45 equal to 15 or something like that, right? And I just oh man. It's so good. He's like What would you do? You work at a big corporate office, and then not like your boss, right? Because in a situation like that, the people at the computers, they'll have like a manager, and then those managers have a manager. This is the owner of the company.
Right.
This is the name on the door that walks in, and to him, you're just a number. He doesn't know anybody's name.
Oh,
in there,
100%.
You know?
Well, it's
Go what?
Well, I was just gonna say it's like when he's behind the guy with Tom, and he looks at the computer, he's like, one email.
Yeah.
It's just great. Yeah.
But it's true. And then we talked last week about his origin and how he had to, like, you know, pull himself up by the bootstraps and really work hard. Like, if you think about it, I mean, listen, you're never going to ever have a company with that many employees where the lowest rung of the ladder looks at things the way that you do, right? Yeah. This is your baby. I tell you this all the time. Like way back when we were shooting Cadillac and everything, right? No one, it's not a personal thing, but nobody who's on the Cadillac set cares as much about Cadillac as you.
Yeah,
it's
right.
your baby. So, like, you have to care.
Yeah.
You know? He gives a shit. And in order sometimes to get people to give a shit, you kind of have to rally the troops a little bit like 100%. He did in this speech. I didn't know where he was going with the speech in the beginning, but by the end of it, I was like, I'll work there.
Yeah, no, seriously. It was good, great performance there. So we get that, obviously. I think it further proves that Tom is not in a position to be the CEO. He really can't even handle ATN, it seems like. You know, he's getting pushed around in a lot of different directions there.
Yeah. To Greg's benefit, I'll say in a minute.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And the other thing that comes into factor with this is obviously Logan's What is she?
I was just about to go into this with you. Yeah.
I guess it's his assistant that he's also banging.
Right, and she says in the end of episode 1, or somewhere in episode 1, she says, Marsha's shopping in Italy or whatever it is forever. She's not coming back.
Right.
And
so
and it's never really kind of disclosed that she's like, that they're, I thought it was a new assistant.
Yeah.
You know? Because in the first, 3 seasons, he has this, chick running around with
she's in season 3.
Toward the end, not
she becomes more prominent in season 3
as the show continues.
Yes. Yeah.
Now she's the main chick.
Yeah,
and I think it's very interesting that there's no divorce or anything.
No,
Marsha's just
he at the end when he goes to the wedding, he's like, "We need to be back together for the press. You know, they need to see me with my wife. You know, it's all about the publicity of it."
Oh,
yeah.
Right.
You know, yeah. So, but Marsha's definitely out. She's just doing that for the money or whatever.
Which, how crazy is it that season 1, she was going to potentially be the one that ruins everything.
Right. Yeah. So, but obviously here we have his assistant. I forget her name. Is it Kelly?
Carrie, something like that?
Yeah, Carrie. She clearly wants to be an anchor at ATN, and they do a test run with her on camera, and everyone's making fun of it. And Logan, too, sees it. And you have that great scene when he's ranting about the pizza, and Greg's just like,
"It's Greg, fuck off."
He's like, the sogginess.
Yeah,
he's right.
There's a sog factor.
But then so then Logan, slyly tells Tom, handle this. I don't want to be the one to tell her that she can't be an anchor. You need to do it. He passes it on to Greg, and it's just this whole thing.
So I think just on this, I'm not shitting on anybody younger than me, and I'm not so great, but I'm just saying there is definitely a little bit of Greg represents that Gen Z kind of young, new class of people, and there is a little bit of a vibe in the world right now of I don't like my job, and if I don't like it, I'm not even going to give 2 weeks. I'm just going to quit and not come back.
Yeah.
And not everybody, but that is the general vibe.
Yeah.
Okay. And even though Tom is a giant wimp when it comes to doing this stuff, it's to Greg's benefit because now Greg has fired somebody, and he's 25. You know, if you look at him, season 1, episode 1, he is the typical kid.
Yeah.
He doesn't know his ass from his elbow. He doesn't know anything, and now he's gone up the way to fire the boss's girlfriend from being an anchor.
Yeah. Tom puts him in tough positions, but it ends up making him better.
Because he has to do it because Tom won't do it, and he's afraid of Tom.
Yes.
And I feel like we're going to see that dynamic change. We're already seeing it change a little bit, but we're going to see that dynamic shift.
I definitely agree.
I think that Logan has a lot of respect for Greg. We talked about that last episode. And also, I really like I like that Tom initially said that the girlfriend was great. And then when he catches, this is something we got to talk about after with regard to this. When he walks in on the lawyer and Jerry talking about, or they were laughing, and they were going to sit down for the meeting.
With Hugo,
Yeah, Hugo.
Yeah.
And they're both kind of chuckling or whatever, and then he sees it and they minimize it real quick.
He's like, what were you laughing about?
Such an old person thing to do, to not close your tabs before you close the computer.
Yeah.
Like anybody in our generation would have just hit a couple of buttons.
Right, yeah.
But nope. So I thought that was funny. And I thought that was really good. And no, it's interesting. There were some real moments.
Well, yeah. So let's talk about the other side. So we kind of had these two plot lines split off here, and then they come together at the end. But so then you had Connor's wedding rehearsals going on. Shiv, Roman, and Kendall go over there to see him. When they get there, Willa just leaves. She's clearly flustered, drunk, and stuff. And then Connor has this amazing bit the whole time of him tracking her on his phone. He's like, she's in the East River. Oh yeah, it's
I think it's funny if you watch this episode. Not to cut you off, but I'm just thinking if you watch this, he has the bit on the outside.
Yeah,
there's a lot of underlying pain there.
Oh, 100%.
He's a fantastic actor.
Oh, he's great.
This is really well, right? Really well done. And I think that line where he says, you have all these different little moments of BS with Connor's character and the tracking on the phone. I think it's a factory setting. Shiv goes, or Roman's like, it's not.
Yeah.
And all this stuff. And I thought it was very interesting when Connor says to all of them, He goes, listen, when you come from a family that doesn't love you, like, you just kind of learn to live with it.
Right.
And instead of, I thought the reaction to that was very interesting, because if they loved him, I feel like they would have said, what do you mean? Of course we love you.
Yeah.
And it's more like, what?
Right.
That's, what? Like,
it's
very like, what do you mean we don't love you? Mm-hmm. And it's a really sad moment it's a sad moment always, but it's really sad when you realize that your family isn't there for you anymore.
Right. And even when they are hanging out with them, getting drinks, they're still talking to Sandi and Stewy about the Gojo deal. Yeah.
It's his wedding that they're talking about. His wife just almost left him at the altar.
Yeah.
And they're talking about, well, can we just do this one little business thing real quick, or blah, blah, blah. He's like, I just want my dad at my wedding. And they're like, oh, you just want the money. And I love it, because then he goes off.
Yeah, and he's like, he does have those moments, and he had that moment in season 3 at the end when he was like, I'm the eldest child.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, it's great. You know, he comes out, yeah.
I think they're all have a little bit of what I would call Michael Jackson syndrome. Hear me out. Mm-hmm. It's that missing out on that childhood kind of aspect.
Yep.
But almost in reverse. Like, he's running for president because he has the funds to do it.
Mm-hmm.
If they came from a poor family and he was the same character, and the parents were still not in his life, and he's still the same type of deal, but no money involved, right? He wouldn't be running for president. He'd be out doing something that would he's trying to get attention from his family.
Right.
That's really what it is. Mm-hmm. He's doing stuff and they're enabling him to do stuff. But the reality is that he just wants some sort of connection.
Which is funny, because then at the end of the episode, he's criticizing the three of them for being like, oh, all you're looking for is love from dad. I want this. You know what I'm saying? But he's kind of doing that too, with running for president. And he's trying to live up to that.
Well, and I think it's more of like a dad, aren't you proud of me? Like, you know, and that's why the episode 1, not to keep going backwards, but there's so much that, like, every time you watch an episode, the previous episodes make more sense.
Yep.
So, like, in episode 1, he's the only kid at the birthday party.
Yeah.
He's the only one that shows up there. And Logan even says to him, like, thank God, like, you're my rock. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you're the one.
But it's funny, because I think at some point in this show, he said that to every one of the kids. And he says it to them when he knows he's about to lose it. You know what I'm saying? Because every time that they're about to all fuck him over and leave, he pulls Roman in, like he did at the end of this episode, and he says, I want you for ATN. He did it with Shiv in season 2. I want you to...
I need you.
He does it to every one of them. He does it to Kendall after the fuck up. Like, he just manipulates them to bring them back in, and it's like this cycle. But now you wonder, are they going to finally learn from this? I mean...
Yeah. Well, I think that... listen, at the end of the day, you want your... It's very difficult to understand if you come from a family that is very supporting, very loving, like very, you know, these people that have like family restaurants where it's like the grandfather's in the back making pizza, and the dad's out front at the register, and the kids are serving, and everybody's happy. Like, yes, there's always bullshit in family business, but I'm saying, like, that's not, like, you're not going to relate to this show the same way.
No.
You know what I mean? This is about a guy who came from nothing, who started a family with multiple wives because he has a thing for women. Like, he's got a problem for women.
And they have that great comment, not to go off, but like...
No, go.
We talked about this last week about how they subtly throw in backstory very vaguely.
Oh, it's so
and when they say to Connor about... Shiv says, oh, like how dad threw your mom away in the... And they don't say what they mean by that, but you kind of wonder, like, did he throw into like a mental institute? Was she a little like...
Who says that? Who?
Shiv, when she's talking to Connor.
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah, something about the previous wife who was Connor's mom.
Yes.
You know, that's interesting.
Yeah, again, another moment of like leaving things up to interpretation. Right. But I feel like there's a biological component or a metaphysical component to children wanting the acceptance of their parents. And so that's why Roman keeps going back. I think that on a weird subconscious level, Shiv and Kendall are doing this to Logan as a way, like, if we fuck him over hard enough, he'll see that we're just like him, and then he'll accept us. Like, I feel like it's a very round robin kind of thing. It's all about wanting to be a happy family.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely agree with that on Kendall's side, because since season 1, it's always been about Kendall trying to show that he can be that.
Think about being I mean, it's hard for us to do, I'm sure, but think about being the only daughter in a family where there have been 3 and now potentially 4 wives. Your mom gave you up. I mean, I saw a great interview with the woman who plays Jerry, and the interviewer asked the actress, whose name escapes me, obviously, because it's me, do you think that in another life, Jerry would have been able to give be Shiv's Tom, in the sense that she could have brought her up? And the woman who plays Jerry was like, I don't think so, because Siobhan has such a problem with female authoritative figures because of the way that her mom kind of threw her away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that that's like a very interesting component to Siobhan. It's
a layered show, man.
There's so much to it.
Yeah,
You can't like not. I don't know. I love that Roman. I love that Roman always goes back. I relate to that a lot too. I feel like, if I ever get into an argument or a fight with a family member, even if we're mad at each other, we don't talk for years, which rarely, whatever. If I just get a phone call from a family member that's like, hey, I need your help.
Yeah, you're gonna,
I can't say no. They're family. They're blood. And so I totally related to Roman in this episode, who's been talking to Logan.
Oh, that scene's so good.
The whole time.
Kendall's like, it's a little warm. Like, warm? Like, happy birthday, Dad. Take care, Roman.
Yeah.
Like, what do you want me to say? I hope you fall down a flight of stairs. It's so
Roman
good.
has the best lines, dude.
Oh,
he has the best lines. And the part of the reason that I like Roman so much, too, is because he has no fear. He really has. I mean, he has.
Yeah.
It's all sentimental based, though.
Right.
It's like fear of losing his father, fear of that kind of crap. But when it comes to like the outside world, business, shit like that, Roman's like, fuck him. Like, I'll do it. What's it's money? We'll make more, whatever. He is very like, this is what we're going to do. He has he's starting to finally, after 4 seasons, you're starting to see a lot of his business, like the intellectual businessman come out in him.
Yeah.
So much so that Kendall and Shiv are noticing, and they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm starting to wonder about him as potentially maybe he actually takes over.
I could see it.
Well, I mean, listen, like now, I mean, my favorite characters, assuming that Roman does stick with Logan going forward, like all my favorite characters are on Logan's side. Greg, Tom, Roman, Kendall, and Shiv.
I've never liked them.
I've never liked them either.
Yeah.
So, like, to me, I'm rooting for that other side clearly now that Roman's there, or we assume.
Is that their way of underhandedly fucking us over?
Maybe.
That'd be funny.
Maybe.
That'd be funny if Kendall wins everything. I'd be so pissed.
That would, it'd be
I'd be so mad,
I mean,
dude.
I think that's what's so great about the show is I have no idea who he's going to end up with.
And I'm sure there's people that are opposite, right? Like, I'm sure there's people out there who think Logan's just a complete asshole, who don't understand him, who think he's like this
listen,
prick.
Logan is a dick in a lot of regards, but I do think at the end of the day,
I think he just wants you to fucking work hard.
I agree with, and he has that old mentality.
What did he say to them in this episode?
He said, "You're not. I love you all, but you're not serious people.
You're not serious people."
Yeah,
that's a huge thing.
Yeah,
that's so important because it shows that you don't have to be the brightest bulb. You don't have to be this like Harvard graduate to be good at business, but you don't even take your own lives seriously. You think everything's a fucking game, and we're only here for 80, 90 years, and we're done. And that's if we're lucky. Right. You know, like you're not serious. And I think one of the biggest points in that is when he takes the helicopter away. And you see this brat mentality come out of all the kids, like except kind of Roman. Roman doesn't really have that, which I admire. Roman's kind of like, well, okay, so we drive.
Yeah, right.
You know, and the other two are like throwing a tantrum that Daddy took the helicopter away.
Right.
And that Logan's like, I just wanted you at my birthday party.
Yeah.
Like you are so like inhuman.
Yeah.
It's
cool.
I
mean, to call back to season 1, episode 1, when talking about like you're not serious people, like when Kendall fails at getting that deal with the Asian guy in the first episode, goes to him at the end, and Kendall's like, what do you want me to just like big dick him? This isn't like a big dick game. And Logan just like, that's the thing. It is a big dick game.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's how you win.
Right.
Yeah.
It's about street smarts.
Yep.
And
Kendall's reading books and all this shit, but it's all about
and prancing around like he's like all high and mighty, but he doesn't know how to execute it the right way.
Right.
It's like manageritis. They used to, when I was in the car business, they used to call it that.
Yeah.
So like you do really well at your job or whatever it is, and then you start telling other people what to do, and like they don't listen to you, and you freak out, and you're like, why aren't you listening to me? Well, because you're a child, and because you did well doesn't mean you have any authority over me.
Right.
And I think that's really interesting. I think there's a lot of there's so much pain, man. There's so many levels of like unacknowledged pain in this show that are so good and add so much to characters.
I don't think you have to like any of these characters, but I think each of them has some sort of sympathy you can feel.
Redeemable quality.
Yes.
100%.
And even for Kendall, too.
I think so, too.
Yeah. Because even after he killed the kid in the first thing, like, he's clearly has issues. You know what I'm saying? And he doesn't really have a good support group around him. So
because they only care about themselves.
Right.
You know, they want him. Like, the thing with sobriety that I've learned, and I've had family members who have had to deal with sobriety stuff, and they're all fine. You know, they're dealing with it fine now. But in those moments, like, you can't want someone to get sober for you to feel better about the situation. They have to get sober for them to feel better about the situation. You know, because it's like, if you like that's the thing, is everybody wants Kendall to stop doing drugs and stop going crazy to make their own lives easier. They don't give a shit if he's around or not, but they know that when he's on drugs, he's difficult to deal with.
Yeah, and Shiv did not hesitate to write that press release in season 3 about him.
They don't give a fuck. Yeah. They don't care. So it's all about what makes themselves look good. And I think Logan is like, that's just really not how you do it. I loved in episode 1 when Tom's on the phone and they're going back, and I know I was talking about episode 2, but I'm just saying, like, when they're going back and forth about the PGN thing, okay? And he says, Tom says, so do you want me to just, like, they asked us to, like, wait a minute. What do you want me to say? And Logan's like, what do you want me to say? They asked me to wait a minute. So wait a minute.
Yeah.
Like, you know, right. No, we're not going to wait. Like, you know, it's like there's so much of that, like.
Overthinking.
Yeah. So much overthinking. We see it in our industry, in the film industry all the time. You're on set. You don't know how to do it. You go turn the camera on, point it over there.
Yeah.
It's just like, why are we arguing?
Yep.
And it's, I don't know. It's great. Gives me the chills. I can't.
I agree. You know. I mean, it's been great so far. I can't wait for next episode because I think that's going to be Connor's wedding.
I'm like emotional about it. I don't want it to end, but I agree with you. You said this last episode about how ending on a high note is good and all this other stuff, but like I am going to miss these characters.
Oh, 100%.
This is so rewatchable to me.
Yeah. No, I can't wait.
The wedding is next episode apparently.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. I'm pumped for that. The wedding episode's always a hit.
Of course.
Great. Yeah.
Because this is going to be a big shit show.
Oh, yeah. I know.
And we didn't talk about Gojo.
Yeah, so
we should talk a little bit about that. Matsson calls Kendall and is like, stop fucking around. You know what I mean? Because because the
Sandi and Stewy want to ask for more money.
That's
they
what
want to bring it to a vote at the board.
And that brings on the not serious people conversation. Go ahead.
Yeah,
go ahead.
But what's interesting about that I was a little confused about.
Sure.
When he tells Kendall that, why does Kendall suddenly want to ask for more money?
Because they're trying to
because their whole PGM deal is contingent on them getting Gojo.
It's also like, I don't disagree, but it is also all of their money.
Right.
So I feel like there is a sense of, you know, this is risky. They can't really come up with a legitimate company name. They are kind of going with whatever direction the wind blows because they don't know what they're doing. And I think there's a sense of like, will this fuck over Dad even harder if we get him to not be able to sell? Which is, I think, what brings Logan. Because Logan looks at them, I feel, and I could be wrong here because he's always like switching things up.
Yeah.
But I felt like that was a really sincere moment when he's like, we want you to ask for more money, Dad. And he looks at him and he's like, why though?
Yeah.
Like, this is a good deal. Like, what are you doing? You don't even know what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're playing a game you don't know how to play.
Yep. They're just going by the numbers. Yeah.
But numbers that they think are right. They don't look at the long term. They don't look at, they don't know what's going on inside Logan's head.
Yeah.
And they haven't been around this block before. Like, this has got to be the highest level transaction any of them have ever even thought about.
Yeah.
Or been next to, let alone a part of.
And it's funny, too, because I feel like every time Kendall gets a step above his dad, somehow Stewy, his involvement with Stewy always backfires.
Same with Shiv. Same with Shiv and the other guy there, the geriatric wheelchair there. I
don't know, man. It's going to be interesting.
How do you feel about Carrie, or whatever her name is there?
I mean, it's
the
just
assistant. You think? I'm asking. Do you think that she'll have more of an influence? She's the one.
Oh, she's already influencing Logan because you see when he goes in and apologizes to them. That was not, in season 1, he's not apologizing at all. He couldn't even say it in the therapist meeting in season too when they all do that. But she clearly, because she's watching him, you can see him look at her and she nods. Like she's controlling him to make him a little more
Do you think it's control, or do you think it's a sense of like, listen?
I think it's guiding.
Yeah, but and it's I might have to bleep this, but it's called power. In my opinion, I call it power of the puss.
Yeah.
Because she's the young thing that he's all obsessed with right now. That's why he's gonna like skip her in the line and give her the anchor job.
Yeah.
And he listens to what she says because he's in love with this girl. You know,
but I think she knows too that Logan needs to put on a better face when he's talking to the kids, or he'll lose them. Because right after he leaves the karaoke place, he flips out. He's like, "We got to go see Matsson." Like he never shows the kids that side, but internally he is freaking out because they do have some advantage over him.
I think it was legitimately sad for Logan to not have his kids even call him on his birthday.
Yes. Yeah.
And
I agree.
I think that's. I mean, look at the picture of him, dude. He looks horrible. He looks sad.
Yeah.
It's not the same like fierce anger Logan we normally see.
Mm-hmm.
This is totally not related to business at all.
No.
For him, this is so personal right now.
Yeah.
And I think he's sad for his children and because of the way they're acting, but also because when he says you're not serious people, he's like, it almost is like a like I've failed you as a father.
Yeah.
You know? Oh man, it hits so hard.
I think he says that at some point in season 3, you know, that he feels like he's failed, at least to Kendall.
Yeah, maybe,
you know, so I don't know. I mean, this next episode is going to be great. We'll get Connor's wedding. We'll get Roman and Logan meeting with Matsson, which will be good. So it's going to be a good time. We'll be reviewing that next week, guys. Comment below what you thought of this week's episode of Succession. But that'll do it for today's episode, guys. We got a big episode next week. As always, Movie Mob drops every Friday at 6 p.m. We got Movie Roulette on Mondays at 12 p.m. Sideline with Matt, Sam, Tyler. That's going to be on Wednesdays at 12 p.m. Like, comment, subscribe. Give us your thoughts on everything we talked about today. We had a lot of good topics, so let us know, guys.
And listen on all podcast platforms.
Yes, if you guys want to listen in the car or anything, we're on there. Apple, Spotify, you can find us there. The Movie Mob Podcast. We'll see you next week. How you doing?